So I think, how do we get out more often? I think the challenge for us is taking, mandates from the administration and whether it's creating affordable housing or access to jobs, improving transit. These are kind of big citywide initiatives and that have to take place in neighborhoods. And I think the challenging thing for us is how are we getting out, not just when the city larger needs something, but how are we getting out every day and more often. I think we've tried to find, we're in the urban design division, Ryan and I, and we've tried to find ways of bringing the conversation to people about the things that we do and the lexicons we use and how we talk about these things to create different ways of interacting with youth and people, riding their bike by on the street. So we've done stuff with Earth Day, we've done stuff with Summer Streets, where we try to think about ways that we can interact with the public more. As a parent and a professional, it is challenging to find that extra hour in the day. So I think a lot of times we structure events that fall in the evenings or on a weekend day, and that's hard for people to get to. So what are the ways that we're trying to connect with people more, especially using digital tools? You mentioned our planning labs. So I think we are the stewards of a lot of data, and how are we putting that out there so people can access that information, and how is it legible and easy to use? So I think that there's, how do we get to people on their time and not just on our time? I think it's something we always struggle with and need to improve on. So getting out there with greater frequency and not just when we need something in the neighborhoods, but actually listening to the things that are happening there, or that have been happening for a long time, and thinking through how we can make things better from the public realm there, and improvements to the built environment. Oftentimes, there's been a lot of investment maybe already, and it's how do we connect a new asset and making those crossings safer. So I think we like to bring the sketch paper and trace things out. Ryan can probably speak to some more current studies that we're trying to build on these things.
Yeah, I think kind of connecting to some of the earlier comments, Susan had put up a slide, arts plus play equals, I forget what the end result was, but we feel that it equals constructive debate. When we're out talking to the community, we like to bring this lens of interactivity where community members can actually play, they can draw with us, they can evaluate our drawings, because we feel that illustrations can kind of give the community a vision of what a plan actually looks like. So the other comment I wanted to make is Amanda had mentioned something about learning together in the GEM project, and kind of unlearning in order to learn together. I think something that we do at City Planning is we really try to understand a community's assets together, how people move through the neighborhood. This is a good example of an exercise we did at, this is a neighborhood in the Bronx along Southern Boulevard. We had each community member map out their daily and their weekend route, whether that was going to work, their most common route for either the weekday or weekend, and in real time we threaded this over top of a map so that people could see how they were moving through their neighborhood, and it kind of highlights the hot spots where we should really be paying attention to investment in the public realm, where we might think about more density, where we might think about that interface that Anna spoke about, that's between the sidewalk and this kind of semi-public ground floor. That's a very important, I think that's kind of within our jurisdiction. We have control over what happens there, so it's a very important thing to look at. And then at the end of the day, as we're sitting down to do a visioning workshop with the community, one thing that we find that really gets ideas generating quickly is when we actually sit down and draw in real time people's ideas. So we created this massive mural where Eric, I, and I think maybe 4 other urban designers were drawing out the anecdotes of what we were hearing just from conversations that were being facilitated by planners. And this kind of gives the community a vision of what their future could be. Now, like there's definitely a transition from this to a neighborhood plan that still needs to happen, but this is kind of a work in progress. And I think it's one of the ways that we can connect into this conversation, as we're very much not experts on this topic. So it's been good to just kind of sit here and learn all day.
Great, thank you so much.